My father sent a message. "We've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away from us forever." My sister liked the text. I responded, "I'll remove my name from every loan tomorrow." By midnight, the family chat was a storm of capitalized yelling. I was on my lunch break at work skimming emails when the notification popped up. A single text from my dad. "We've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away from us forever." 5 minutes later, my sister tapped the heart emoji. No explanation, no heads up, just a blunt declaration that sliced through years of family connection like it was a casual group chat response. I stared at my phone, not shocked anymore, just weary. Hands heavy, I typed back without feeling, "I'll remove my name from every loan tomorrow." That sparked the explosion. By midnight, the group chat was a chaos of notifications, shouting in all caps, fragmented accusations, blame ricocheting between my parents like a vicious game. My mom raged in text about me deserting them. My dad insisted I was being deceitful and heartless. My sister, always thriving in drama, threw out distorted memories and half-lies, as if we were back in high school and she ruled the social scene. But no one mentioned the real issue. Not once did they acknowledge that for 4 years I'd been silently carrying their financial burdens. The family business loan my dad defaulted on, tied to my name. The second car my mom swore she needed just until her credit was better. The utilities, the home repairs they couldn't cover because they were investing in the future. All on me. And somehow it was just assumed I'd keep footing the bill while they critiqued my job, my partner, my entire existence. I was their safety net, their fallback plan, and they never even bothered to say thanks, until I was no longer convenient. Or maybe I just stopped staying silent, and they decided I was the problem. So they cut me off, expecting I'd beg to return, apologize, and resume my role. They claimed I made it real. The next morning, I contacted the bank. I informed them I was starting the process to remove myself as cosigner on all active loans. I reached out to the insurance company to cancel the policy on the car they still drove under my name. I booked a Friday appointment with the credit union to transfer full responsibility for the debts. They didn't see it coming, and when they did, it hit like a freight train. That evening, the tone changed. My dad texted, no longer shouting, "This has gone too far, you don't realize what this does to us." My mom followed, "We were just upset. You're our daughter, you can't just walk away from family." Then my sister, "They can't secure new financing without your credit. Are you really going to ruin us for no reason?" No reason? I'd given them years. I'd provided financial lifelines, bylaid them out of crisis after crisis. I let them judge me, blame me, diminish me, and still stayed. The moment I asked for basic respect, they made it clear my worth was tied to my credit score. This wasn't about family, it was about access. Access to my money, my signature, my compliance. But I'd changed the locks. I was done being their scapegoat and cash machine. They made the first move, I just followed through. The next day, I walked into the bank, prepared. I didn't waver when the loan officer raised an eyebrow at the stack of accounts I wanted my name detached from. I'd brought every document, every signature line marked. I'd spent the previous night collecting everything while my phone buzzed relentlessly with their messages. My mom tried guilt. My dad tried reason. My sister predictably tried taunting. I stopped reading. Sitting in that office, handing over forms, felt surreal. These weren't just loans or co-signatures. They were the ropes I'd let them tie around me while they acted like I was invisible unless they needed something. They relied on me to keep their world running, literally, and never thought I'd walk away. When I left the bank, I turned my phone back on. 9 voicemails waited. My mom was crying in one. My dad was furious in another. My sister wished my partner would leave me and I'd end up broke. That one made me chuckle. She was describing their own lives. I ignored them and drove to the storage unit I'd been renting quietly for weeks. They didn't know about that. I'd seen this coming after our last big fight when my dad screamed at me for missing Thanksgiving because I was working overtime. That's when it clicked. I'd started moving my belongings out of their house, where I technically still lived, though I hadn't stayed there much in months. Now, everything I owned was safe, out of their reach, nothing for them to hold over me. That night, another text from my dad. "You've made your point. Enough's enough. Come to the house so we can sort this like adults who send one-line banishments and throw tantrums when their financial crutch stops giving." Then came the bombshell: "If you don't fix this, we could lose the house." That's when I saw how deep their mess was. They hadn't just used me. They'd built their entire lives assuming I'd always say yes, no matter how they treated me. It wasn't just bad parenting, it was a strategy, and now it was crumbling and they were panicking like cornered animals. I replied once, "You cut me off. I'm just honoring your request." That was my last message to them that week. I spent the weekend at my partner's place. He didn't pry, which I appreciated. We made dinner, watched silly movies, and let the quiet feel safe. He didn't dig for details or gossip. He just gave me room to breathe, and for once I could. By Sunday, their tone shifted again. They weren't angry, they were desperate. I could sense it. The storm wasn't over, it was circling back. But this time I wasn't bending. Monday was eerily quiet. No texts, no calls, no passive-aggressive emails. After days of relentless harassment, I should have felt relieved. Instead, my gut churned like the calm before a hurricane. That silence wasn't peace, it was a tactic. I was grabbing coffee at work when my boss called me over. Someone was asking for me at the front desk, a woman who wouldn't give her name. I asked what she looked like, already knowing. He said she was in her 50s, well-dressed, polite, but intense. I walked out and there was my mom, sitting like she was waiting to pick me up from school. She stood too quickly and started talking, afraid I'd leave. She said she forgave me, said they'd discussed it and decided I'd had my moment, and now it was time to come home and fix the mess. I didn't respond, just turned to walk away. She followed, pulling out a folder. Inside were copies of every financial document I'd ever signed. Loans, business forms, old credit card statements, even my tax return from last year. She said they'd consulted a lawyer who claimed I might be legally obligated to keep paying unless I followed the proper process. Said there were loopholes, that they could make things messy if I didn't comply. I didn't ask how she got those documents. I walked back to my desk, ignoring her. My boss gave me a look but stayed silent. I logged in, pulled up my accounts, and started changing passwords. It got worse. That night I stayed at my partner's place again, a quiet complex outside town, nowhere near my family. I thought they didn't know the address. I was wrong. At 7:30 the next morning, a knock. It was my sister, hair styled, makeup perfect, wearing the fake smile she saved for manipulation. My partner answered. She asked to talk to me alone. I said no. So she stood in the doorway, chatting like we were at a cafe. She called me childish, said I didn't understand the stress our parents were under, that debt collectors were calling. The business credit card was frozen. They couldn't even buy food because the joint account I'd closed was critical. She said she'd forgive the past if I'd just call the bank and cosign one more time, just a small loan to tide them over. I asked how she found me. She said it was simple. I'd tagged my partner in a photo once. She followed his friends list, tracked down the building. That's when I realized I'd underestimated them again. They weren't just desperate, they were calculated. She said, "You think he'll stick around when he sees the chaos you've caused?" That was it. I told her to leave, she kept talking. I closed the door in her face. That night I cut the final ties. I closed the joint credit line completely. I'd left it open with a zero balance out of pity. I froze the shared business account with the accountant. I even wrote off a small personal loan I'd given them last year, just so they'd have no reason to contact me. They had no leverage left, no hooks to pull me back. That evening I told my partner everything. The years of debt, the manipulation, how they'd built their lives around draining me instead of raising me. He listened, then said he was proud of me, not for fighting them, but for choosing myself. The next day I got an email from their lawyer, not a real threat, just enough jargon to sound intimidating. But the bank had already confirmed my name was off everything. My accounts were secure, they had nothing. So I replied with one line, there will be no further contact. No emotion, no explanation, just a line drawn. They thought I'd collapse without them. They didn't know I'd been surviving on my own all along. I was ready to live for real and I wanted them to see it. Weeks passed, then months with no contact. It should have felt like freedom, like reaching solid ground after years of treading water. But it didn't, not entirely. The silence was too deliberate, like they were plotting behind closed doors. Then it started again, not from them directly, too obvious. First, a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years texted, saying my mom told her I'd had a breakdown and abandoned the family, that they were worried and just wanted me home. She ended with, "They say you're not okay. Is there someone you can talk to?" I laughed. Of all the lies, they picked the unstable daughter story. Days later, a woman from my old church messaged, saying she saw my dad at the store looking frail and sad. He told her I'd blocked them, cut them off, and it was breaking their hearts. She wrote, "Whatever happened, maybe just call, they're your parents." I didn't respond to either, but something else started happening. The longer I stayed away, the lighter I felt. For the first time in years, my paycheck lasted the month. No sudden requests for emergency funds, no unexplained withdrawals from shared accounts, no calls about late payments I didn't know I owed. For the first time I was breathing. I moved in with my partner permanently. It was an easy choice. No drama, no financial traps. We split rent, cooked together, paid bills like adults. He didn't flinch when I shared everything. He just listened, didn't try to solve it. He stayed. That's when I understood what love really is and what manipulation isn't. Then came the Zillow link. A coworker of his sent it. "Isn't this your girlfriend's family's house?" He opened it next to me. It was their home, listed for sale, cash offers only, marked as pre-foreclosure. No mention of the upgrades or appliances I'd paid for, just a hollow shell. I hadn't forced this. I hadn't sent letters or made calls. I just stepped back and their world collapsed without me. The next day, my mom emailed, not a text or call, but a carefully worded email, probably revised a dozen times. It started gently, "We miss you. Things aren't the same." By the third paragraph, the guilt came, "We know we weren't perfect, but we never thought you'd abandon us." Then the truth, "Your dad's health is declining. We're behind on payments. The house is gone. We have nowhere to turn." And the plea, "I know you said you're done, but you've always had a big heart. You've always saved us. Maybe you can rethink this, just this once." They weren't reaching out because they'd changed. They were reaching out because I'd stopped playing their game, not daughter, not family, but provider. I didn't reply. Instead, I donated $200 to a domestic violence shelter. It wasn't symbolic. I just wanted the money to go somewhere that helped people escape what trapped them. Days later, I drove by their house. It was empty, no cars, lights off, a faded "for sale by owner" sign in the yard. It should have felt like victory, but it didn't. It just confirmed what I knew. They never saw me as a person, only a backup plan, a credit score, a safety net. Now they'd have to survive without me because I wasn't coming back. Not ever. I thought it was done. The house was gone, every account they could access was locked or closed, my name erased. I'd blocked them on everything, phone, email, even LinkedIn. I started therapy, finally allowing myself to talk about things I'd buried. For the first time, I wasn't watching my back, until I opened my door one Sunday afternoon. My partner and I had just returned from a short coastal trip, no plans, no stress. We were unpacking groceries when I saw the car across the street. My dad's old black sedan, the one I'd helped repair last year when he couldn't afford a mechanic. They were just sitting there, engine off, windows up, staring. I didn't go out, I didn't wave. I went inside and sat, a weight settling back on my chest. 15 minutes later, a knock. I didn't answer. They knocked again and again until I opened the door. They held a cardboard box, old photos of me, childhood drawings, birthday cards I'd forgotten, random keepsakes from my old room. My mom offered the box like a truce. My dad stood behind, arms folded, face blank. She said they were downsizing, that the house was gone, and they were starting over. They didn't want to fight, just talk. My dad said they missed their daughter, that I'd always been the glue, that they were lost without me. I didn't speak. I stared at the box. Then my mom said they were sorry, but not for anything real. Not for using my name on loans without asking, for calling me selfish when I couldn't pay, for treating my help like a duty. Not for the years of subtle guilt or letting my sister skate while I fixed everything. She was sorry for how it ended, not for what caused it. They weren't here to take responsibility. They were here because they were scared, broke, and still thought they could guilt me into saving them. I asked where they were moving. They didn't know, said they'd been denied rentals, credit too low, income too shaky. Then my dad said it plainly, "We need your help, just until we're stable." That word, asterisk, just asterisk. Just one more signature, one more card, one more loan, just enough to drag me back. I said no, calmly, firmly. I didn't want their money, didn't expect repayment, didn't care about the furniture or appliances I'd bought. They could keep it all. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the freedom of not being chained to people who only valued me when the bills arrived. My mom asked if I hated them. I said I didn't. Hate takes effort, and I was saving mine for myself. They stood there, stunned, like they couldn't believe their plan wasn't working. My mom set the box down and walked away. My dad followed, silent. I left the box outside for 2 days. Eventually, I threw it out, not because I didn't value the memories, but because I didn't need proof of my existence anymore. That night, I sat with my partner on the couch. We barely talked about it. He just held my hand, and I realized this is what safety feels like. No manipulation, no sudden demands, just calm. Let them watch my life from afar now. Let them see what happens when I'm no longer the glue holding their broken pieces together. I wasn't their solution anymore. I was my own. Months passed, and the silence became routine. I stopped checking old emails, stopped expecting blocked calls, stopped replaying old arguments. It was like leaving a country I'd once called home and realizing I never wanted to return. But every so often, a message slipped through, not from them, but from their orbit. A cousin I hadn't seen in years asked me to talk to my parents, saying they were struggling. An old family friend posted about forgiveness, tagging me fishing for a reaction. I ignored them. Then I heard the details. They'd moved out before the bank took the house. My dad was doing delivery gigs. My mom was babysitting for cash. My sister, who once called me boring, was back in their tiny apartment, jobless, blaming everyone else. They tried another business. It collapsed in weeks. No credit, no investors, no one left to deceive. Me, I was different. I paid off my last personal debt, the one from my early 20s they swore they'd help with, then forgot. Gone. I got another promotion, a real title, an office with windows, a team I led. I went to therapy weekly, not to plot revenge, but to unpack boundaries, to understand how strange it was to grow up thinking love meant giving everything. How terrifying it was to walk away when you've been taught to stay. And how good it felt to do it. My partner was still there, steady, quiet, present. We signed a lease on a bigger place, bright and open, something we built together, not something I carried alone. One night I found an old box in my closet, letters, mostly mine, journal pages, unsent notes. One was a list of things I wished I could tell my parents. I'm not your bank, I'm not your do-over. You don't get to call it love if it only works when I'm useful. The paper was worn, edges soft from folding. I read it, then burned it. I didn't need it anymore. They'd tried to claw back into my life, showing up, calling lawyers, tracking addresses, guilting relatives. They'd sent boxes of memories and hollow apologies. They'd done everything but change. They wanted me back not because they loved me, but because they needed what I provided. But I wasn't theirs to drain anymore. I'd become someone who didn't need their validation, their permission, or their acknowledgement. And the irony, they said I'd fail without them. Now they're watching me succeed while their lives unravel in the chaos they used to pile on me. I didn't fight back, didn't post exposes, didn't drag them. I didn't need to. I'm living well, quietly on my terms. The best revenge wasn't ruining them. It was realizing they never deserved a place in the life I'm building. The door isn't just shut, it's gone. A year later, they're almost a memory. Not cruelly, but like a scar that no longer aches. I wake up and don't think about their next move. I don't check blocked lists or flinch at unknown numbers. I'm just here living free. My partner, now my best friend, asked if I'd ever consider reconnecting, just to say something final. I told him I don't need the last word. I took it when I left. They had countless chances to do right by me, not just recently, but my whole life. They chose to wield guilt, play victims, and treat my loyalty like a bottomless account. When I stopped, they didn't apologize, they panicked. Now they're in a cramped apartment in a suburb no one claims. The same people who once boasted about my success now dodge the topic, acting like I overreacted to something minor, not years of quiet betrayal. My sister tried contacting me once through someone else's account. Said she was in therapy, claimed she saw things clearly, said she missed me. Not once did she say sorry. I didn't reply. Some doors stay locked, not out of anger, but for peace. If I let them back in, I know how it ends. They plead, they pull, I bleed. I'm done bleeding for people who only see me as a tool. Instead, I'm building something mine. My career, my relationship, my life, my identity, untouched by their chaos. If they wonder about me, they can look me up. They can see the trips I've taken, the milestones I've reached, the life I've created. They can see the smiles that aren't forced, the peace that's real. They can see the life I couldn't live while they held me back. That's the true ending, not a dramatic showdown, just this. They lost me and I found myself.